even people are networking, they would network within their group. They would not go out of that particular group. So that's another thing which I've seen within the Indian landscape.
Okay, okay. That is true. Like I think it is changing. Might be in a few years it might change. Kind of. Okay, so I think we are live, and so that we start off. So welcome, folks, and welcome to another brand new episode of the InstaHire Roundtable. So today we have two very senior HR folks and TA leaders. So our topic for today is harnessing the power of people analytics for strategic HR. And for that, we have two speakers. So I will just introduce you to Amruta Khaitan, who is the recruiting manager corporate at Lenskart. So welcome, Amruta, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and meeting us. Welcome to the round
Thank
table.
you. Thanks, Abhijit, for having me.
And with that, Ashish Mahajan, who is a strategic advisor and coach. He has worked in companies like Mo Engage, Mindtree, Bajaj Capital. So thank you, Ashish, for taking time out and meeting us at the short notice.
Thanks, Rabjit. It's an honor to be here and interacting and talking to the audience as well as to all the great people out here. Thank you so much.
Great. So, Amruta, a little bit of brief about yourself and about you, and a little bit of your role also, if you want to share with the audience, and then we will come to Ashish about you. So, Amruta, we can start with you.
Sure. So I have like 10 plus years of work experience working in the talent acquisition space, and I was just sharing with the fellow panelists here that I have worked across a lot of geographies such as South Korea, London, America, Canada, and different industries. So it's been a very enriching experience, being a part of different cultures, different work environments. So I'm looking forward, to sharing all of that with your audience today, Sarabjit. And over to you.
Great knowing you, Amrita, and Ashish, a little bit about you and your roles in you have led like different strategic HR and talent acquisition teams. Over to you, Ashish.
So thanks, Rabjit. Yeah. So if I talk about myself, I would say talent acquisition to me started more with chance. The chance became a choice, and then the choice became more of a passion. So that's the reason I'm here today. To me, talent acquisition is something overall, if you ask me, is looking at happy faces because I feel motivated, thrilled when I see I've been helping others to start their living or start their career journey, and that gives me an immense satisfaction overall. I've worked with a lot of brands. I've worked in multicultural environment. I've worked in UK. I've worked in Ireland, and I've worked also in the Middle East part. And I've tried to understand the different cultures within those landscape. And wherever I have gone, wherever I have typically done hiring, that's a new learning for me because that helps me in terms of imbibing new culture, new new people, new understanding of that geography, how to go about and how to take that as a challenge. To me, talent acquisition is each day a learning in itself because when you speak to leaders, when you speak to uh, your fellow colleagues or peers, they would have some or the other insight to share about, and I feel blessed about that.
Great to have you, Ashish. Great to have you, Amrita. We'll start with the first question. I think Ashish, you can go first. So my first question is about your journey from childhood to becoming a talent acquisition expert. Any memorable moments which you want to share with the audience? A few words about your journey, also.
See, there are quite a few memorable instances if you talk about uh, in my professional journey from my childhood. To be see, when I did my 12th, I was very clear that I wanted to be a management professional, and HR was one thing which really excited me out. And but before that, I was very clear that I wanted to do law. and I did law. And after passing law, I did my MBA. And within HR, I was more excited about doing more of employer relations. And I ended up joining a manufacturing concern, which is Hindustan Motors. But that typical interest, if you ask me, really went down when I looked at how exactly the work in a manufacturing environment happens. Then I realized that I may not be a right fit. And that was a time when dot-com boom was on a big hype. And that's how I ended up or started my journey in the talent acquisition space. And then I could realize that if I am in talent acquisition, I can learn each and every facet of HR. And that's how I started my journey, because it was more of a chance. And now that chance has become more of a passion.
Okay, great. So, Amrita, a little bit about you. How did you start from your childhood? Any memorable instances? How do you become a talent acquisition? How do you came into talent acquisition?
That's a very interesting question. Thanks for that. Well, I grew up in a very open and community-based environment. What that means essentially is, my father always had like a sort of an open door policy to anybody and everybody, in and around our area, who would have their issues and problems. He was their go-to person. So I
Hmm.
think I was naturally drawn to understanding what makes individuals unique. I think I was fascinated by observing how people interacted and how they communicated. These early, I think, inclinations could have perhaps laid the foundation of a people-centric role, I feel. And then
Okay.
eventually I did, my graduation in hospitality, and
Hmm.
furthered by my career in sales, which kind of fostered my ability to connect with people, understand their motivations, what makes them thrive. And post completing my MBA in HR, I was working as a generalist in London. I was supposed to cover all sides of HR, but the minute I was placed in the recruitment team, I felt I was making like a positive impact, on both individuals and the organization. So, to Ashish's point earlier, I get immense satisfaction from helping candidates and fulfilling their career ambitions while also supporting companies in building high performing teams. So
Hmm.
ever since, I've never really looked back, and I thoroughly enjoy what I do.
Great. So, a few words about you, and then we move on to the first question, so to speak. So, Amrita, you can start off first. So, people analytics has become one of the major things which has turned in the last 4 5 years down the line, and has been going through. But a lot of uses of data, a lot of tools have been inducted in this people analytics segment. So, according to you, what do you think the key benefits of adopting people analytics approach in HR will mean, like, and why should companies right now should approach like should use people analytics in their HR needs? So, Amrita.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, we all agree that it improves, efficiency overall. And,
Mm,
it actually enables us to be more effective and, take informed decisions.
mm,
It also improves, from HR standpoint, overall employee experience, right? From start to end. It helps us enhance that. So I think it's a great tool, or it's a great, kind of support that HR has. And from TA standpoint, apart from again decision making and efficiency, I would say that it adds to candidate experience and employer brand, right, overall, and also impacts the bottom line. So I think it enables us to do greater things efficiently, and create that larger impact on the organization.
okay. Ashish, over to you. What do you think? Like, what are the key benefits of adopting a approach in people analytics in HR? So, in majorly, the basic things which helps is basically improving the company culture or creating a company culture in smaller or mid-sized companies, and also in, I think, engagement, employee engagement or understanding employees is one of the things. So, what do you think? And any other things which you want to touch upon when we introduce people analytics into HR?
So see, in today's scenario, if you look at data is the key, and data speaks for itself. So whenever you go ahead and talk to any C-level person or to a CEO, his focus always is gonna be on certain aspects. One is gonna be what is my revenue per employee, or what exactly is my new hire failure rate, or what exactly is my quality of hire getting improved, or what exactly is my dollar of revenue loss due to the open roles from long duration. And they will also talk about diversity impact specifically in customer centric roles. So I think when it comes to all these things, there is only people analytics which can help you, because until and unless you go deep dive into data, understand the data, you'll not be able to get a right information or a right analysis in terms of this. And once that analysis is there, you'll be able to figure out those gaps. And once you're able to figure out those gaps, then you're able to implement corrective actions. And to me, that's one of the reasons in today's scenario, any form of data which is there with the organization in within the HR department, it is important because this helps the HR leaders to focus and to figure out uh, what sort of a regrettable attrition they have, what sort of cost overruns they have, whether there is a poor productivity, whether they need to do talent optimization or not. And I think it's analytics today is the key.
Okay, okay. One more question I have in the same thread is how can leadership or involvement of leadership help in this kind of implementing a lot more engaging people analytics program into HR? So, anyone?
So when you talk about people analytics, see, you go ahead and talk to any C-level person, right? So when you're talking, I'll give you an example. In my previous organization, I was my CEO's focus typically was to look at providing a great candidate experience to the to the people who are coming for an interview, right?
Hmm,
How do you, firstly, you really need to understand whether as an organization or as a TA team, we are currently at what stage. Are we really
hmm,
doing the right set of things or not, right? So first thing is that to capture the data. How do you do is that you go back to your talent pool, understand what has been their experience, right? So either you will go to the people who have joined your organization, to whom you have rolled out offers, or candidates who typically have attended the interview but they have not been able to make it up. So once you
hmm,
gather that data on different parameters, you will know where exactly you stand. So once you have that data in place, then it becomes easier in that scenario to go about it to make corrective actions. Because even in today's scenario, any leader which you talk about, whether he is at a CEO level or whether somebody at a VP level, they would be more interested because that data is definitely going to help them in terms of taking right decisions. For example, if you talk about performance management or if you talk about people engagement, right? So leaders would like to know that what exactly is happening in the mind of a person who is working with the organization. Whether the person is happy, what is his satisfaction score index, or is there something going in his mind, or is he looking at an alternative job option? Because that is what exactly leaders will be thinking about at each and every angle. And for that, it is only people analytics or HR analytics which is going to provide you that information, right? So for leaders, it is very, very much important.
okay. Okay. Amrita, I have one question for you. Then we can go to Ashish. So, if you could build a HR analytics tool, which top five features would you introduce and why?
Again, a very interesting one here. Well, if it was left to me, I would love to first and foremost build an ability to, track the work-life balance. As we were speaking earlier, right? I don't think there is a tool who's able to do it effectively as yet. Um,
Okay.
Identifying productive hours, ability to offer that flexibility, when it's
Okay.
required, prevent burnout, right? Burnout is real, and
Okay.
I don't know if, our market is talking about it only. So to create a healthy and driven and a productive workforce, I feel if if that particular feature could be inbuilt. I'll give you an example. But before that,
Mhm.
I want to point out someone's mic is echoing. So
Okay.
yeah, so thank you. So, like if I used to work at Meta and they used to have, a bot suppressing our work notifications after our work hours. And, that used to ensure, a greater work life balance. And it just shows that, you have an employer who cares. Right. So that would be definitely a key feature for me. Also, I'm a very interactive person. Like I like, visuals, right? Colorful visuals, something to simplify my reports, graphs, or dashboards. So if it could be backed with some kind of visual technology that eases, some of those complex data structures for me, and it also helps, as a presenter or as a people person to kind of present that data and communicate those insights effectively. So I think a visual medium would definitely help. um I think if there is a way of customizing some of the features again, because each organization, has its unique challenges, right? They have their own policies, their own internal structures. So if the tool could, it could be tailored to my own firm, that would really help to a great degree. I think there are tools like that, but more customization that also drives sustainability and could evolve with and grow with the company, right? And the changing trends, that would go a long way. I think Ashish pointed out a diversity and inclusion. So if there is a feature to track that representation, right? An equality of different demographics, genders, pay gaps, right? Employee sentiments, that would also be a great feature. Also, I think of late I've realized we don't have a very effective benchmarking tool that's readily available in the market for, let's say, recruiters or even, candidates. So we struggle to, I mean, unless you're tied up with a third party, it's a real struggle to get that authentic data. So, it will be great to have these capabilities to understand the industry standards and what are the competitors doing, right? What kind of benefits, what kind of initiatives or drives they are, having to kind of attract some of that talent. So, I think from my end, these 4 to 5 things would be, very, very valuable.
Great. Great insights. We have talked about work-life balance, performance management, workforce management, and a dashboard which can give you actionable data insights. And plus, there will be diversity and customization according to the company. So that is the thing which you need in a HR analytics tool if you want to design one. Okay. So over to you, Ashish. Your thoughts on this? Any other features, or you have? What do you want to have in your tool if you want to design?
See, I would look at a tool which could help me in terms of doing a lot of planning specifically for talent acquisition. So when I say planning for talent acquisition, the tool should be able to read out the patterns or the what has happened in past in sort of a certain role. So, for example, if I have a requirement where I have to onboard 200 people, the tool should be able to understand, looking at my past data, and give me to get 200 joiners, how many offers I need to roll out. To get these many 200 offers, right? What is the number of interviews I need to do? To get these many interviews, what is the number of pipeline I need to look at? And then it should also be able to give me a statistics that which are the specific sources which are going to be affected for it. In past, for a similar role, what was the source mix, and on what basis, on that basis I can assign the target to each and every source. Then it could also tell me that which overall, which if I have agencies which are working for me, which were the agencies which were the highest contributors, or if I have employee referrals, which were the employees who were the highest contributors, so that I can go ahead and pitch accordingly and can get most and most leverage out of it. So that is one thing which I would look at in tool. Second thing which I would look at in tool is it should be able to give me predictive analysis of turnover. I think in today's scenario that is very, very much important, because I hardly find any particular tool which talks about a predictive analysis of turnover. they would typically give an idea that, okay, probably in a year, these many people, this is a constant. But the tool should be able to do that sort of an engagement, and it should be able to give me the data that this person's motivation or a satisfaction score is low. Probably he could be one of the threats in terms of looking out, or there is something going wrong. So that sort of insights the tool should be able to give me. That is one thing. Third, I think I would also look at a tool is that the tool should be able to give me an overall focus in terms of, I would say, is the probability in terms of whether the candidate whom you have offered is going to join or not join.
Okay.
Right. So when I say probability, maybe a tool which has been used by multiple organizations, and these organizations typically share data stating that they've offered a particular candidate, right?
Hmm.
So if my organization is reaching out to that candidate, there should be a red flag, right? Shared by the tool saying that this guy is already offered, he is trying to shop around. The probability of this guy joining is going to be lower. So maybe
Hmm.
some sort of an insight which could help the HR as well as the talent acquisition persons to take right decisions. That is
Hmm.
something which I would look at. Apart from this, I think what is also important in today's scenario, specifically when it comes to overall business, the tool should be able to give me a complete just in terms of skill gap analysis, right?
Okay.
So if we have interviewed a person, hired a person, right, it should be able to identify what are the skill gap analysis, what sort of a training is required, because this could help the organization in career planning as well as succession planning.
Okay, okay, great. So I have a small question which I've got from the audience. I'll just ask it right now because it's very pertinent. Jay Tarimala has asked that, like, what about attrition prediction models? If and are they useful? Attrition prediction models. So I think Ashish, you were talking about turnover rates. So any comments on this?
Model typically give you an insight that from a very holistic perspective that, for example, if in my organization last year, these are the attritions, right? What set of attrition is gonna continue in the next year? What you typically look at is you do a market analysis to understand what exactly the overall attrition is prevalent in the industry, and then you do a vis-a-vis competitor or a vertical analysis or a business wise analysis that within my landscape of business, what has been the attrition. Then you do a comparative analysis that will give you a good amount of idea that this year probably this could be the attrition. And then probably you also look at how exactly the overall market conditions are, how well the inflation, whether the inflation has gone down or whether the inflation has increased, right? And then you also look at your overall uh, average day within your organization, that in last 2 or 3 years, what has been the average stint of an employee within the organization across each demography. And based on that, you would come across with a plan that probably this could be the attrition number within this year. And that gives you a little bit of idea or a question. But if you ask me whether they're a great way, I don't think so, because at the end of the day, these prediction models keep on changing.
Hmm.
Because it's purely industry dynamic, because things keep on changing.
Yeah, it's also, I think, basis on the market trends which are there and
Yes.
also technology trends which are there. Okay. So Jay, I think Ashish has answered you in detail. Amrita, you want to add something on this, or we can move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think no, Ashish just covered it beautifully. But yeah, you guys are right. Like external analysis and keeping up with the ever changing and evolving markets, and added coupled with your internal historical trends, right? I think an amalgamation of both these sides will be able to kind of give you the right insight as to how you're placed for that particular financial year. Perhaps again, one can't really always predict these things. So every year the ball keeps rolling and changing. So no, but I hope we are able to answer his question.
Okay, okay. So, Amrita, I will ask the continue with the next question. So, how do you overcome the common barriers and pitfalls in implementing people analytics? Any thoughts on that?
Hmm. Okay, so I think earlier you were asking, what is the role of HR leaders, in implementing these people analytics tools. So I think as leaders, we must be, transparent and very upfront about the privacy and ethical considerations, right, while implementing these tools. I think we are still warming up to the idea of data privacy here. So there's a
Yes.
lot of sensitive personal data that HR handles. So one need to be really be mindful about, while implementing some of these tools. Oftentimes what I've experienced, Sabujit, is you know we don't we I don't want to say we don't focus on problems, but we tend to focus more on the tool that is being shown
Hmm.
to us. I think there's a golden rule in analytics, right? That focus on the problem in hand and not on the tool. And what
Hmm.
that essentially means is, let's not get swayed by these tech jargons and technical stuff, right? Let's not get caught into that. Focus on the real problem statement that we are trying to solve for. So that could be one barrier. Like I've known professionals, when they don't understand a lot of technology, they generally buy in whatever is presented to them, instead
Hmm.
of kind of understanding whether this tool really is going to help me solve for the problem that I'm working on. So I think that could be one of the barrier. And the other could be overcoming some of the capability barriers, right? Like
Hmm.
first of we should kind of know what skills we have readily available onto the team, right? And would we need like a cross functional partner to solve for, if we kind of onboard one of the tools, right? So that internal assessment is really required to see if realistically we can implement some of these tools. So I think these are the pitfalls or barriers that I've come across in my career, at least.
Okay, great insights, Amrita. So over to you, Ashish. Anything, any of the pitfalls which you see in implement or common barriers in implementing people analytics?
See, I think when you talk about analytics or bringing in any tool, it's more of a change management process. And
Hmm.
that is a human psychology that people are reluctant to change. So that
Hmm.
mindset has to be changed from very beginning. That what is the need of bringing the tool, why it is required. So first thing is that the tool should not be taken as a people analytics or an HR analytics or a tool for HR. So we should talk about what is the business impact this particular tool or a solution is going to bring on the table. And I think that is the most important focus area which business leaders should talk about when any such sort of a barrier or a pitfall typically comes into picture. I think that's going to be the key. Second important barrier, which even Amrita talked about, is going to be more in terms of the GDPR compliant, because nowadays, if you look at organizations, geographies, they are becoming more and more focused in terms of data privacy, and even people are reluctant to share their personal information. So the tool should be designed in such a way that it takes care of all the compliances, because which in today's scenario is a need of R, and it should focus uh, from a GDPR perspective, that each and every data point which has been taken into account, uh, it should not be misused. That information should not be misused. That's another important thing. Third important thing, which I guess is important more from a overall business perspective, is gonna be is that making people aware that this tool is about business, it is not about HR. I think that is more important, because people typically say that this is a tool which is an HR tool, but this is a tool which is purely from a uh, business perspective. And I think also another important barrier which people think about is when they start implementing a tool, they will come up with the problem that this is not working out. Probably this is something. So from that perspective, we need to look more from a solution perspective rather than from a, I would say, from a issue perspective. So these are certain things which are important in today's lens, and I think if we focus more from that, this is really gonna help. And then we should also focus is that these tools are typically gonna focus more from an organizational development perspective, not from any other perspective. So it is all about how do we put forward our story so that we're able to uh, work on those challenges.
Okay, so we have talked about data privacy, dependency on tools, and not going on very tool based things. So a few questions from my side also regarding the pitfalls and where it may go wrong is basically we focus more on a lot of things. Are these tools are a lot of based on metrics which we define ourselves, right? So if we define a wrong metric, everything goes there. Like everything is focused on clearing a wrong metric. So that is also very important, I think, like the selection of metrics where we want to improve, and based on that how we can do. Also, do you think that there might be so this tool will be kind of analytics tool? Generally they do is they collect a lot of data and they do predictions on that historical data, and they predictions on that. And this historical data, at some point in time there might be any bias, there might be bias, and that bias will continue to uh, like tamper with the results, or like there will be minute changes which can snowball into a very large error which we might to solve at later point of time. Do you think this bias and dealing with people data, not only in the privacy sense, but also there might be manual errors or kind of things which can creep into this implementation, which can hamper an organization success? So what are the thoughts, Amrita and Ashish, on that?
I think absolutely. At the end of the day, we have to realize that behind all of this, right, there are humans, and
Yes.
these are human inputs, and they are culturally driven. They all come with their own, beliefs and value systems. So, of course, the systems or the metrics and the tools could, have some of that bias coming in. And I think that's why at every regular interval, there needs to be some kind of reflection activity to kind of see that, where are we going. Is the data that we are kind of banking on, is it really helping us to make the right kind of decisions? Is it really helping us, with the larger organizational goals? So, and if we're not solving for the problems, and we're not aligned with the value systems and beliefs of the organization, or to Ashish's point, if you're not compliant, right, and if it is leading us in the wrong direction, so one should be able to correct it in real time.
Okay. So we move on to the next section, which is the audience questions. We have a few questions from the live sessions also. We'll start from where we got some emailers from for this webinar. So Shweta from Gurgaon asked, what are some quick wins and low-hanging fruits that can help you demonstrate the value of people analytics? So the question is open to all, so anybody can answer, or both
Yeah.
of you
So
can
so so
answer.
when you talk about the people analytics, right? So there are a lot of wins and low hanging fruits
Hmm.
which could demonstrate a lot of value within an organization. Let's talk about talent acquisition itself. Because if
Okay.
you're doing if you have a right tool, right, or you're using people analytics, it will help you in terms of doing a lot of focus in terms of talent acquisition optimization, right? Because you'll be able to analyze your hiring data, which will be through which will be most effective in terms of which are the most effective sourcing channel for you. It will help you to identify what are the tabs against each and every role, what is the average tab, or what are the reasons for the delay in the positions, right? It will be able to give you. It will also be able to give you a lot of data in terms of your quality of hires. It will also be able to give you efficiency and cost optimization, right? So even it will be able to give you a lot of information in terms of the dollar value lost against
Hmm.
the open role for which you are hiring, right? So if you look from a quick wins and a low hanging fruits, right? Particularly any particular tool will be able to give you a lot of information or a lot of metrics and analysis in terms of this. Even if you talk about attrition analysis, right, the tool will be able to analyze historical data to identify patterns, reasons for the employee turnover. It will help in terms of implementing what I would say is the targeted retention strategies. It could be in terms of your improving work-life balance. It could be addressing specific concerns, or it could be concerns in terms of career growth, or it could be concerns in terms of adjusting compensation. It could be anything. So I think these could be certain sort of a quick wins and low-hanging fruits, which any particular people analytics tool can demonstrate as its value within an organization.
Great. Amruta, you want to add to this? Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. I think you hinted on it, Sabijit, before. That one should identify, a few key metrics that
Yes.
are relevant to your own organization's, goals and challenges, right? So it all boils down to your understanding of your own problems, and kind of, challenges, right? And this could include anything, right? Your turnover rates or recruitment efficiency or performance trends or engagement scores. It could be any of it. So choose a metric that are easily measurable and directly tied to business outcomes. I think
Mm.
we've established that. I think another key area that people analytics could solve for is upskilling and
Mm.
training. With a
Yes.
lot of AI kicking in, there was when Chat GPT came in, there was a lot of it disturbed a lot of kind of
Mm.
candidate were kind of worried as to what happens and what's the future of it all. So I think upskilling is one area that HR leaders are working on, and I think doing that gap analysis as to where the teams are currently, and what is lacking in my team, and how do I kind of inculcate some of those skills within my workforce, and not try and hire from outside per se always. I think that could also be a very key help that these tools could kind of do. And in TA specifically, I think we've covered it, identifying the most effective sourcing channels, assessing the candidate quality that's coming in, the conversion rates, improving time to fills. I think those could be some of the low hanging fruits that TA could especially, focus on. So I think demonstrating improvements in efficiency and quality of outcome can showcase the value of people analytics at large.
Okay. Great answers. Great insights. I think Shweta have got her answers for that question. I'll move on to the next question, which is from the audience. Nandita from Bangalore asks, "How do you foster a culture of data literacy and curiosity among your HR colleagues and leaders?" So over to you guys. Anyone can answer on this.
Culture purely depends upon an organization itself. How do they want to move forward? Whether as as an HR person, I would say that if I have to scale up my operations, right, I cannot scale up my operations if I've been doing the same usual stuff which I've been doing maybe 2 years back, 3 years back, or 10 years back, because things keep on changing. Whatever is relevant, maybe if I'm is relevant to me, where I'm managing and driving a 200 people company, the same processes can't be relevant for it when I'm scaling up an organization to 1,000 people company. There, what is required is technology. When it comes to technology, analytics definitely is gonna the key has a key role in terms of this. Because if we don't analyze, use analytics, or we don't use technology, we are not gonna scale up. It's always gonna be a same old perennial problem. So as a leader, right? Until and unless we don't lead or we do not show that path to our team, right? It's gonna be extremely difficult. And at the end of the day, we are trying to solve a problem. See, using analytics, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a business impact. We are trying to solve, bring solutions on the table, that this is what exactly is the issue, right? This is what exactly the story is, and to solve this particular story, these are the different ways through which we can solve the story, because these tool or these analytics are able to give us a lot of insights where things are going wrong. Until and unless we do not take that corrective action, things are going to move on a similar straight line. Else, being a leader, I don't think so I'm going to bring any value on the system or on the table. So for me as as a leader, it is important to bring a change within the organization for the betterment of the organization and for the organizational success. Insights are gonna be the key, and these insights are only gonna be brought by analytics.
Amrita, your thoughts on this? Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. I think leadership plays, a crucial role, right, in setting the tone right. When they prioritize, or we prioritize and advocate for data literacy initiatives, it automatically, gains traction, right? Some of the other things is like implementing, training and development programs, right, that could focus on uh, creating awareness within the organization, making data easily accessible to the employees, in a way that's organized, and it's user friendly, right? And well documented. It so I think that could also help. And to build curiosity around it, I think encourage employees to ask questions, explore data driven insights. So just having, that curiosity yourself as a leader would automatically set the tone. Creating that supportive environment where, curiosity is valued, and mistakes are seen as opportunities for learning, and, people don't feel suppressed for asking questions,
Hmm.
and encouraging cross-functional collaboration, knowledge sharing. I think that would build a culture of curiosity and innovation, in my view.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Great. So we'll move on to the next part, which is the candidate question. So I will ask you one question, and each one you can answer. So the question is, how to best answer? Tell me about yourself. Okay. So one by one, you can go.
I
This is
think
for the candidates or job seekers. Yeah.
I will love to go in first,
Okay. Please.
because it's such a cliched question. First of all, especially as a career coach. So when I meet my clients, right, they often are overwhelmed with what's available to them online. There's lots out there already. So my advice usually is to be authentic, right? Be true to who you are and what you bring to the table. It's all about weaving, an engaging story, and you've got to be a great storyteller in today's world, be it social media or interviews. So just make sure your story ties in well with the opportunity in hand, and highlight relevant, experiences and key achievements at that. And be crisp, keep it short. Please know that the interviewer will ask follow-up questions if they need to, dive deeper on any of it. Another great insight would be zoom out and zoom in.
Hmm.
Start with zooming out on your professional journey, and then zoom in to again highlight the synergy with the job, right? And lastly, conclude on a positive note. End with a forward-looking statement, something, that kind of sets the tone right for the rest of the conversation. So I
Hmm.
think these are some of the things, but again, I mean, there's so much available that they can easily find a lot of content on this particular question online.
Okay, great. Thank you, Amrita, for your insights. Ashish, over to you. Anything you want to say on this?
I think Amrita has very crisply and perfectly described the answer to this particular question. As she rightly mentioned, that be crisp, be concise, and be transparent and be truthful. That's more important. And secondly, do not talk about what you have written in a resume. You should be a
Okay.
great storyteller. Talk about your experience in a very, I would say, in a very innovative way. That is in a very storyable way, because that's how people typically the interviewer typically looks at it. And second important part in terms of this is that talk about who as a person you are, rather than talking about your education or talking about uh, your companies where exactly you've worked. So you talk about your learnings in that particular job or in that particular project. What were your learnings, and how that learnings have helped you to achieve your goals? I think that is going to be the key part in this question.
Okay. Perfect. I think thousands of job seekers on our platform will be watching this, and that will be helpful for them because that is the only question I think which is repeated over the years throughout. Uh, okay. So move on to the next part, which is a fun part. It's the rapid fire round. So rapid fire round is I will ask you a bunch of questions, and then whatever comes to your mind first, you have to answer it out. Okay, like blurt it out to me. Who will want to go first? I'll start with her, and like take your time, and we can start it in like a few seconds. So who will want to go first?
Okay, I don't mind first.
Okay, Amrita. Questions coming in for you. So Amrita, desk decor, plants, gadgets, or photo frames.
Plants.
Okay. What would you choose as a team building exercise? Eating contest or tug of war?
Eating. I'm a
Eating.
foodie.
Okay. Okay. Hot beverage of your choice, tea or coffee?
Green tea.
Green tea. Okay. If you could have one hiring superpower, what would you choose? Mind reading candidates or cloning the top performers?
Cloning the top performers for sure.
Okay. What is your strategy for unwinding? Reading, cooking, or a long drive?
Long drive.
Long drive. Okay. Fantasy office location, underwater HQ, or regional office on Mars?
Regional office on Mars, something I haven't explored yet. So why not?
Great. Thank you, Amrita, for being such a
Thank
sport.
you.
And I'll move on to Ashish. So, Ashish, are you ready? So I can start the
Yeah,
questions for you.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Morning kickstart, meditation, TV, or music?
Music.
Okay. If you could have one hiring superpower, what would you choose? Mind reading candidates or cloning top performers?
Cloning top performers.
Okay, everyone who wants to clone. Okay. What does your ideal happy favorite weekend look like?
Okay, my ideal happy weekend looks like sleeping for a long time
Okay.
and then
Okay.
spending time with my son, and then going for a bicycle ride in the evening.
Great. Um, who is your favorite leader? One fictional character or real life person?
Okay, so favorite leader I would say is Subhash Chandra Bose. I really admire him. That is
Okay.
one. Fictional character, if you ask me, I'm not much into fictions, but if you ask me, in fact, I've never been into fiction, so I really don't watch fictions. Even
Okay.
in
Okay.
my childhood days, I have not watched much fiction.
Okay. Great. Gadget you can't live without.
Gadget I can't live without. I think it would be my mobile phone.
Okay. If one day you meet your younger 10-year-old self and you had 5 words to say, what would you say? This is the last one. Okay. Second.
So, five words if I have to say, I would say be honest, be transparent, and dream a lot, because dreams help to achieve the right success.
Okay, so that's it from my side. Thank you for joining me and having a great discussion. We discussed about a lot of topics, a lot of insights have been here. We will publish this over all our channels, and we will have all the folks using Instahare will have access to this. Thank you so much, Amruta. Thank you so much, Ashish, for taking your time out and spending some time with me. So, hope you enjoyed it and loved it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this honor and the opportunity. Great questions. I love the conversation and all the insight that I also got from this particular forum. And I look forward to connecting with you guys frequently. Thank you so much. And Ashish, really nice meeting you.
Same here, Amrita. Nice meeting you and nice knowing you. And thanks, Instahar, and thanks, Sarabjit, for this opportunity. This is indeed an honor. It is a great learning experience and knowing each one of you. Thanks you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of the weekend and a lovely weekend. Okay. Take care.
Yes, you
Bye.
enjoy quality.
Thanks.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.